Hey guys, my little bees. I love you guys. How's it going today? Today I want to talk to you about how I knew I was trans. Holy moly, I've been on YouTube for 11 years and I've never talked about this topic? Hunty, come on. So how did I know that I was trans? Well, here's the thing. Here's my little story for you. I was very tomboyish as a child, and I would take my dad's clothes and wear it and he'd get mad at me, and I would take my dad's girlfriend's son's clothes and they would get mad at me. So I didn't know what to do. And I remember one time my dad's girlfriend's son, we were the same age, he said, "You can't go play with us, it's only boys." And I was so offended. I was like, "But I'm part of you." And I didn't know what that meant. In my head I'm like, "But I'm you." Like there was a click that it wasn't there. So what I did is I wore all of his clothes and I went to hang out with him, and I was like, "Oh, I'm a new kid in town." And why? Well, I have barely any memory from that time period of my life. Why are all the memories related to gender? You think there's a connection there? So I was always really boyish and really tomboyish, and when I was in elementary school, my dad and I lived in hotels a lot, and motels, sorry. And because we got kicked out of our house, we had to live in a motel, and for months, one time we lived for a month in a motel, and my elementary school found out and they were like, "Oh, you're poor, we're gonna give you clothes." So they gave me like a secondhand clothes bag in like a big garbage bag. I got home and I remember opening it up and seeing, I'll never forget. See, I have barely any memory. The only memories I remember all have to do with gender and all of these things that click in my head like this. Open it, there was these baggy jeans, and this I like that style. So I had the baggy jeans and I was like, yes, awesome. And then there was this sweatshirt and it was like really baggy. And it just made me feel so good to have this clothes that was super masculine that I actually got up on the bed and I started jumping on the bed in the motel. I promise you this happened, and it's such this memory that I have, but that was one of the best days that I had. So after this, I got to high school, and this is when I wore like SpongeBob shirts and like baggy pants. Oh my god, you see pictures of me, I'm like, I wear skinny jeans now. I literally can't handle anything that's not super tight. Like, they're basically tights on my legs. I can't imagine the pants they were so baggy, oh my god. But my dad was upset and he wanted me to wear girl clothes. So we went to the mall and we got this like sweatshirt tight and pants that were like Puma or some Kappa Puma, some shit like that. And the deal was, I'll give you $100 a week if you wear that outfit twice. And it was really hard because I would walk down the hall and I remember this one guy was like sitting at his locker and he'd be like, "What? Yesterday you were a boy, now you're a girl, what is this?" That hurt me so much that I was like, no, I'm not doing this anymore. So I started to wear the baggy clothes again. And honestly, I'm thinking about it now, it's giving me a lot of I don't talk about this often because it was hard. This is like I was like 12, 13 at that time, and it was just, if we had as many, I just wish YouTube was a thing back then and that we knew what trans people were and we had heard of a trans person. It would have made my life, it would have been, I don't know how my life would have been, honestly, but it would have been different. Maybe. So I think my dad kind of gave up on trying to get me to wear girl clothes, although he always wanted me to wear dresses, and he's like, "You better wear a dress for my birthday," and things like that, which is so funny because my dad is so open-minded. He used to drive me to the village and literally say, "Hi boys, I'm back," like literally all the time, because my dad used to live in the village when he was younger. Like, come on, why? It was so interesting to know how open-minded he was, but how close he was to this. Also, keep in mind that this was at the same time that I was starting puberty, and I didn't have a mom or a mother figure. I just lived with my dad. And that was like a really awkward experience because I didn't talk to my dad about any of that because I didn't want to, because that's really awkward. So I kind of had to deal with everything myself. And back then, we didn't Google things. That wasn't a thing that we did. So I kind of had to my dad had gotten me this M&M magazine for my birthday, my 12th or 11th birthday, and I remember going through it, and it was all M&M, and it was great, but at the end there was a Q&A, and it was about puberty and girl puberty and periods and stuff, and reading that was my source. How I figured out all of this stuff was from that little Q&A in that magazine. So it was really hard for me. I didn't want to deal with it. I didn't want to accept it. I didn't want to talk about it. So what I just read in a magazine. So fast forward to me being in high school and being a little bit older and finding YouTube and finding the trans people on YouTube. It clicked. Honestly, like, I sat there at my desk, I remember it like it was yesterday, and I wish I could do like, I wish I was like rich and I had like a studio and I could like recreate what it looked like. Maybe one day. I'm sitting at my desk and I'm clicking on some videos, no idea what, and then I click on one and it's somebody who's really angry, and I was like, I don't understand. Is this person a lesbian? Like, what is this? I don't understand. What is this? And then I realized they're trans guy, and I'm like, trans guy? What's that? And then there was another link of a person whose name was T-girl something. It was the T word though. T-girl something. And I looked at it, I'm like, T-girl? And it was a trans woman, but I was confused. I was like, wouldn't that be a T-boy? I was so confused. And to this day, I'm like, where did I know what trans people was? Because I didn't know. I knew that men dressed up as women. How? I think, speculation that I found out on the podcast, I had like an epiphany. South Park. I think South Park is the reason why I knew that men dressed up as women and could turn into women. But of course, women can't turn into men. I didn't even know that was a concept. So when I found that out, I was literally like, oh my God. And I just started, oh my God. Oh, this emotional. I just, everything kind of fell into place, and it all made sense. And it all made sense, but it also didn't, because everything that I had experienced my whole life, from that moment on, I was like, oh my God, this is why. But then the other part of me was like, absolutely not, this is disgusting. No one's gonna accept me. There's no information online, which means there are no people like this. I don't know anyone like this. I can't tell my dad. I don't want to lose my dad. I don't know what to do, so I kind of ignored it. And then I let it go, and I never mind. And then it came back months later, and I was like, shit, it's back. I tried to repress it so hard that it just came back. And it was even harder. So what I do is I took my dad's credit card and I bought $200 worth of books on Amazon about trans things. He found them and he was like, what is? I'm like, it's research. Come on, daddy. Come on, click it, hunty. I read all these books, and I feel like a different person. I don't understand gender and trans people as much as I think I do, but I feel like I am in a state of distress, honestly, and I think that my English teacher in grade 10 could feel that, or grade 11 could feel that, because she wanted to like talk to me afterwards, and we have to do a public speaking thing every year where you do like a 5-minute public speech, and I couldn't do it in front of the class. I was too anxious. Why would I choose gender identity as a topic? I don't know. So I did it at the end of class in front of her and just another student, and that was like the first time ever in my life that I feel like I was real, and it was so strange. And I knew that there was something that was up with me, and I knew that I was somehow somewhat trans, but I didn't even know what that meant. And I kept going back and forth for so long. Yes, I'm trans. No, I'm not. Yes, I am. No, I'm not. I throw out things. I had to buy things again, to the point where I was just like, okay, I have to accept this. Sorry, I'm having such an intense flashback right now of like literally getting a Much Music credit card, prepaid credit card, when I was 16 or 15, and buying a binder and buying a packer, and I just also, honestly, and it's so funny because Early to Bed is literally the first place where I got a packer, and it's just so funny that literally 11 years later I am sponsored by them, and we have an awesome relationship, and I review toys for them, and we're just great collaborators together. So I think that the reason why I know I'm trans is because of the back and forth, and because of the repressing my trans identity so much that it kept coming back so hard. Listen, kids, you want to rule in life? Don't repress anything, because it's just gonna come back full force twice as hard as it was the first time. And I'm saying this from experience, from repressing being trans, repressing wanting to go on T, not wanting to go on T, getting off of T, wanting surgery, not wanting surgery. All of these things in my life I've repressed for so long that it just came, and the second it hit me, I was like, I need to do this right now, or I'm gonna die, is what it felt like. So the back and forth, and the knowing that it was gonna come back, the making trans videos, deleting them, going to the box and going delete forever, and thinking in my head, I'm gonna regret this one day. I'm gonna regret this one day, yet I'm still gonna delete them. Why? Because a part of me was like, I don't wanna be trans, this is disgusting. And the other part of me was like, this is a cycle, it's just gonna come back around. Yo, I'm so mad at my younger self for deleting those videos, but nothing I can do. So that cycle and back and forth, I just had to accept it. It was almost like, okay, I just have to deal with it. And it wasn't like, yay, best day of my life, I'm trans. It was like, I have to deal with this because I couldn't go on with my life if I didn't deal with this. And I'm so glad that I did. It was such a slow process for me, honestly, and I couldn't even admit it to myself out loud or to my friends. I had to wait till after high school. I had an appointment, and then I told my friends, I was like, I'm gonna go to gender therapy, and they were like, oh, that's so good, we love you no matter what. And I was like, oh, I should have done this years ago. But I reflect back now at this time, and I seriously feel like I'm about to cry because this is the time period that caused me the most distress. And yes, teenage years is hard for everyone, absolutely. But when you add that you're trans on top of it, yo, come on, this is too much. And just knowing that I was going to be discriminated against my whole life and people weren't going to accept me was so hard to accept. But when I finally was like, I gave in to this feeling, this cycle, I was like, okay, you win. I'm so glad. I'm so glad that whatever power, whatever dysphoria I had took over and really made me see that you're gonna be a much better. I can't even imagine having to go through that cycle. If I never gave in to that feeling, I would have to go through that cycle my whole life. I don't even know where I would be right now, honestly. I feel like I wouldn't be alive because realizing and accepting and knowing that I was trans saved my life. Anyways, a little heavy for this topic, but that's kind of like the big part one of how I knew I was trans. And then the second part is basically my transition and what solidified and kind of reaffirmed my identity for me, and all the steps that I took, even going off of testosterone, helped me realize that yes, this is the right decision. This is who I am. Anyways, I'm done. I'm like, I need a moment right now. Please let me know what you think in the comments below. How did you figure out that how did you know that you were trans? Let me know in the comments below. Let's have a discussion about this, and thank you so much for joining me. I love you as always. You guys are the best people in the entire world. I love you. Thank you for joining me. Have a great day. Bye.